Sanya's here. Sanya Richards-Ross. She is in the building. I'm so excited to talk to you. It's like last time I saw you was a little bit ago. We were in a little bit of a different circumstance, but alas, you have made it right here, and I'm just so excited to have you on the show. But look, before we get into it, I just want to make sure everybody knows, you know, today it's about Sanya's story. It's about her journey and how she really utilizes the track to live life. I think that's kind of how I take it. And we'll talk. I want you to talk about your books. I want to talk about your life. I want to talk about everything else. But I want also people to know about Give Together Now. And GiveTogetherNow.org is really where we're helping raise money around, because the fact that there's a lot of people out there that are suffering right now due to financially due to COVID-19. And this is what really Stand Together Live is all about. And there's real power in people helping other people. And up until this point, so we'll let everybody know, okay? I'm just looking at my computer right now. Sanya, how much money do you think we've raised up until this point? And I'm going to pull it up because I like doing this in real time with my guests on the show. How much money do you think we've raised up until this point?
Well, the last time I checked in and I was following, we were about, what, 50 million, right? So. Okay.
So what do you think?
51?
You know, maybe you want to go up a little bit. You know, we have a lot of generous people that have done a lot of generous things. So I'm letting you know right now, we've crossed the $52 million mark, $52,078,732. But that number is important. But the most important number that we always think about is the amount of people and the amount of families that have been affected. And that's 104,000 families will receive checks of, they'll receive ACH transfers of $500. So, Sanya, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for being here. So, you know, it's Sanya Richards-Ross. Oh, and by the way, before we get in, I told everybody we met down in Rio, in Brazil during the Olympics, and everybody knows that, you know, Sanya Richards-Ross is like gold medalist. You know, she's champion. She went to that school with the burnt orange. She's very prideful. I gotta let you get that out there. That was probably one of the best experiences that I've ever had at the Olympics. I mean, it's a little bit different for you because you were kind of on the other side.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dhani, first of all, I remember I had heard about you before. Obviously, you played for the Giants, and I kind of knew a little bit about you. But when I met you, I was like, oh, my God, this dude is amazing. And, you know, for me, I know we're going to talk about a lot of things, but I've never told you this, Dhani, but you inspired me so much to see an athlete who made the transition to television the way that you did. And you were just so confident. And I really admired that. And it was really great for me doing my first. I was like, oh, I did the Olympic trials. That was like my first gig, you know? So it was extremely memorable. You, I, and Otto had a blast filming our segment that we did together, and I'll never forget it.
So let me show everybody, because this is a really cool feature that we're able to do on IG Live. So this is one of my favorite photographs right there. Talk about it a little bit, because a lot of people don't realize where we are right there.
Yeah.
In Rio.
Yeah, so we were able to go on the track. Actually, I think we were the first ones on there. I don't even think the athletes had been on there yet. And so we were with you, and we're doing a series kind of talking about what was to come, getting the American audience excited about the Rio Games. And we're like, we got to do a cool shot. Passing the baton. We are teammates, a lot like what we'll talk about today, the power of team and supporting each other. I'm not going to talk about you, Dhani, not getting all the way up there. I'm not going to mention that.
Well, you know what? It's all right. I was, you know, maybe I was the first leg, you know, it's all good. But like, I'm going to show myself right now, because clearly I'm not as fast as you are. As you can see, you know, Sanya has that perfect technique, and she only beat me by a little bit. So that means I'm close to being an Olympic champion.
I mean, in my heart and in my mind, you're definitely close. But this was just classic moments. I'm so happy you're able to find those photos, because, I mean, just unforgettable moments.
All right, one more. And this is my favorite.
You shot that, Dhani?
I shot that picture. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
you sent me that one. You pulled it out.
That's one of my favorite photographs. I told you, you know, and this other one was another one. I think that one really embodied everything that was about the Olympics that year. But that was one of the most fantastic times, and I was you know, just excited to be able to meet you and spend time with Otto as well. I just was, you know, as a professional football player, as I know your husband is, it's a completely different world when you kind of go to the world of the Olympics, and that's where you've thrived so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So as let's just, you know, I wanted you to give an opportunity to kind of talk about your upbringing and sort of your transition from, you know, at 7 years old, you started running track.
Yeah.
Right. And that competitive edge started to sort of mold this spirit and mold this person of who you are today. So tell us a little bit about those first memories when you started running.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's important to say that I was born in Jamaica. And when you think about Jamaica, track and field is the most popular sport, right? Soccer is a close second, but the country shuts down when the Olympics are on for track and field. And so growing up, track was always all around me. I knew at the age of 9, I wrote for my class assignment that I was going to be an Olympic champion. So it was just always in my heart. It was always something that I desired to do. But when you talk about, like, remembering my earliest memories of competing, it's almost like, you know, a visualization would be almost like Texas football, like Friday Night Lights. Like in Jamaica, at 7 years old, we would compete in the national stadium, Dhani, in front of thousands of people. Would rehearse like songs and chants. It was like a big deal. And so, you know, for me, it brought me so much joy. I loved competing with my whole family would come and support me. And, you know, to be very honest, when I think of my first memories of track and field, it's almost like a family reunion. My family would fly people that lived in the States would come down and watch me run. And it just brought my whole family so much joy. And, you know, it's the reason I kept doing it for so many years.
As you talk about it, I can almost hear you kind of switch. I feel like as soon as you start talking about home, your mindset just switches. I can hear it. It's like in the tonality of your voice. But you know, you started in Jamaica, then you made your way to the U.S. How was that transition? And, you know, what was probably one of the biggest parts or the biggest challenges that you faced as you moved from Jamaica to the U.S.?
Yeah, you know, and I got to give a quick shout out. I see a bunch of my people in this live. Dhani, Yolanda's here. Pam is here. What's up, people? Thank you so much for joining us. No, we appreciate it. But, you know, I think the toughest transition for me, Dhani, was when we migrated when I was 12. And I remember when my parents told us we were going to move. My sister was like, no, you guys go. We'll stay here.
She's like, oh, no. I'm not going.
And the toughest thing for me was, in Jamaica, we wore uniforms. And when I first came to the United States, I did end up going to a private school for high school. But my first school was a public school, which meant you had to wear like regular clothes. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to have to wear regular clothes. And then my accent had a very strong Jamaican accent, like strong. I didn't want to stand out in that way.
And look, anytime you want to drop the accent, it's all good. You know, it's all love and Stand Together Live. It's all love. So if you need to flip that switch, you know, you just go ahead with it.
And so I was most anxious about fitting in based on my accent and fitting in with my clothes. Like, you know, what do people wear to school? Like, we only wore uniforms in Jamaica. And, you know, for me, the best thing that got me through that was sports, Dhani. Like when I actually played basketball my first, whatever you call that, not semester, but, you know, the first couple of months in school was basketball season. And as soon as I got on the basketball team, made my friends, you know, I felt like I fit in and I belonged. But, you know, all the challenges that you have when you're like a young girl, like 12 years old, like, you know, you're worried what boys are going to think about you and my accent and what am I going to wear and my hair. It was like, but it was a great journey.
I mean, that's seventh grade. I would take 7th grade. Oh, Prince Akamukamura is jumping in there. So we got to give him a shout out.
Hey, what's happening?
You know, that brother doesn't ever call anybody back, but it's okay. We're not going to talk about him. We're talking about you.
Prince. We're calling you out, Prince. You didn't answer your phone.
That's right. I'm calling you out. But as a 12-year-old and in the 7th grade, that has to be difficult. So how did you overcome some of those challenges and some of those some of those mind games that you're playing with yourself, right? Like you're in your head. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's always been, I've had a really good support system. My mom and dad are just absolutely the best. And so whenever I would come home with any kinds of insecurities and I would talk to them, they would always like say, girl, you are beautiful. You are this, you are that. And I feel like just them kind of bolstering up helped me a lot. And I also had cousins who went through the same things, who migrated from Jamaica when they were 6, 7, 8, like a full range of it. And they would like, you know, you're going to be fine. This is going to be awesome. And just stick it out. A couple more days. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And so for me, I feel like my family has always been my greatest support system. And any time in my life where I could think of where I struggled, I could always lean on them.
Was there one thing that, you know, any one of your family members said to you that got you through? You know, I think about from football standpoint, you know, it was always my dad in the stands yelling, right? Yeah. Or it was always coming home, or the community of people that would always kind of lift me up. Was there one thing that someone said, or was there one thing that a group did that just kind of lifted you up and gave you that support and that strength during that transition?
You know, the first thing that comes to mind, my cousin who passed away probably about 10 years ago now. It's crazy how time flies. He had migrated to the States. We lived really, really close together. And I can't remember the specifics of what happened in school, and I was talking to him about it. But I'll never forget when he, you know, turned and looked at me and he said, you know, like, you're Jamaican, you're born tough, like, you know. And it's always been something that I hold very dear to my heart. It's like, you know, I ran for Team USA. People always ask me, like, you know, what was that about? Like, how did you balance that dynamic of being Jamaican running for the USA? And it's just something in our blood, right, that I feel like makes us all really tough. And my family, we're all Jamaicans, and that means something to us. You know, it means that we're strong and that we can endure, we can persevere. Yes. And I can, for the moment right now, of him looking back at me and saying, you're Jamaican, you're born for this. Like, you know, you're going to make it. And it just meant the world to me, and it still does today.
I love how you said that, because that's what we think about from Stand Together. Those unique gifts is that strength that's within you, and that ability to bond together as a community, and as people that stick together and lift each other up. So I love that. So your obviously your track career went really well, and it got off to an amazing start. I saw the speech that you gave at your university, talking about some of your trials and tribulations. But aside from telling yourself at a very young age that you were going to be in the Olympics, when you first got there, what allowed you to persevere and sort of maintain that strength of mind and also of body as well as soul, so that you could pursue those gold medals?
Yeah, I mean, you know, so I made my first Olympic team my sophomore year in college, which you can imagine, and I have some questions for you too on your journey, because I'm very interested in your journey too. But, you know, which you can imagine was a dream come true, right? Like I was 18 or 19, and I had always wanted to be an Olympian, and I was able to make my first team while still competing at UT. And what was so cool about it, Dhani, my first Olympic team, we competed in Athens, the birthplace of the Olympics. And so I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to, like, you know, like I'm like everything
right.
Out, right?
Like, I got this.
Destiny, you know? And obviously, you know, and I know we'll probably get to this, but I feel like it's appropriate now, is that, you know, many times we think of our dreams and we just think it's going to be like just straight up, and it's going to be like, you know, you're the best, you train hard, you're going to win. And that certainly is not anybody's story, and it wasn't my story either. You know, in 2004, I was just happy to be on the Olympic team. I was 6th in the 400, which was pretty good. I had a really long season, and but I knew, man, if I were at my best, I should be able to medal, you know, the next time around. And in 2008, I actually went in as the favorite to win gold. In 2008, I won every single race that season except for the Olympic final. And, you know, as you can imagine, that was it was the lowest time in my career, because I had given my everything to realize this dream. I had wanted so desperately to stand on top of the podium. And when it didn't happen, it was like life shaking and life changing and life altering, and just, you know, everything that you can imagine. And so many things helped me to rebound from that and to be able to, in 2012, run into what I believe was my destiny and become an Olympic champion. And, you know, it was my faith. First of all, I believe everything happens for a reason, and I just stuck with it. And my family, once again, who, you know, I can't even tell you how much they held me up. And then I just had really great people around me, my coaches, my agents, who all just kept believing in me and kept, and, you know, it made all the difference.
One of the things you said, and I'm looking at your quote from your commencement address, you said failure is the bitter ingredient in success.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That to me is the part that a lot of people are afraid of. And I want to tell everybody watching right now that failure is something you have to embrace. I feel like there was a moment that my sister and I had the other day that reinforced that again. It's like a full circle moment, as my sister is she's not a new, it's two, you know, she has two kids. I said my new mom, the oldest is 3, and her life has been shifting, right? Been changing, and she's launching new businesses. And she got an email that wasn't the nicest thing, right? It was a little bit of a rejection email. And she said to me, you know what? I'm happy I got that email because it pushed me. It made her change her strategy. And what she's employing now is even better, you know? And I want to encourage people to know that that part of success, that failure part is necessary. It helps to challenge you, to stretch you, to help you to reevaluate. And it's usually after those moments that you really reap the kind of success that
I love that. I love that. If any, as everybody's watching right now, again, it's Sanya Richards-Ross, gold medalist, Olympic champion, just dropping nuggets of inspiration. If you haven't watched her commencement address for the University of Texas, you should go watch it. I know, I know you love your school. I love mine, the University of Michigan. Go Blue. I know, you know, we won't get into that. It's fine, but I want to encourage people to go watch it because, you know, I think that the speech that you gave wasn't just for the students. It's for everybody, right? And I think there's points of reference and relevance that everybody can grab something for that. And there's, before we get into this one part, you said something very powerful, something else during the speech. You wrote it for yourself, and being able to get over that hurdle. I think that was one of the biggest parts of inspiration from your speech to the students. The fact that you didn't go out and have a speechwriter. You did it all yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes we do things and we forget about it. And when you bring it up for me, it's a reminder that when I got called to do, and I see Michelle, a fellow Longhorn in the building. Hey. And Michael's here, and Bruce. Hi guys. Love you guys. Yeah, you know, when I got the call to do the commencement speech, I was like, oh my God, like I got to get somebody to write this for me. Like I need help. Like there's no way I can go in front of 30,000 people and write this for myself and inspire them in the way I want to. And, you know, and I was like looking up speechwriters, like who wrote Barack's speech and where's Michelle's speechwriter? And like, you know, I needed that. And then I got to tell you, the most fulfilling part of the entire experience was actually writing it for myself, because the truth is nobody can tell our stories the way that we tell. And a lot of times we're so caught up in being perfect that we really miss an opportunity to be present and to be real and to be authentic. And so, you know, what I tried to do in my speech was, there were times when I'm going too long. I was in my head a lot of times and I was talking. And then the response I got afterwards was like, wow, like I did the right thing. I told my story authentically on the way only I could tell it. And it was very well received.
Oh, I thought it was well received, and I encourage everybody that's listening today for them to go and watch it as well. And for everybody that's joining again, Sanya Richards-Ross, we're helping raise not only awareness for hashtag Give Together Now, but also funds for you know, Give Together Now. You can go to givetogethernow.org. And I wanted to share just a story real fast about someone that's been able to receive this $500 ACH transfer on behalf of Give Together Now. It was a gentleman named Robert from Atlanta. He's a member of a nonprofit group, Back on My Feet, and he was struggling with addiction and recovery for years, and he finally landed a job as a chef at Grady Hospital, where he'd be serving doctors and nurses on the front line for COVID-19. And Robert received money from the Give Together, for hashtag Give Together Now, which allowed him to stay financially secure during his search for a new career. And the money not only allowed him to find a job, but it also now gives him opportunity to support those fighting the pandemic. And so, this $500 donations to these families truly have a wave of impact. So I just want to make sure everybody knows what a difference everybody here is making. And, whether you're giving $500, or whether you're giving $5 or $500, we're giving $500 to these families. And also you can give kindness, which is also a very, very powerful thing. If you take a picture or you take a video, you capture it, post it on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and you tag Stand Together Foundation, hashtag Give Together Now, we will see it and we will give $500 on your behalf. And we call that giving kindness.
Honey, I gotta reiterate that, because the first time I said it, I didn't really I didn't really grasp it. And I think for me, why it's even more meaningful is because I have a son, right? I have a kid who can't give. He don't got no money yet, right? He ain't getting paid. But I can inspire him to do something. Inspire him, like we talked about, like painting a rock, or we talk about delivering groceries for the elderly, whatever it is. Like, you can inspire your kid to be a part of this campaign who might not be able to give, or even you who, a lot of our lives have changed right now because of COVID, and some of us don't have our jobs, and so we might not be able to give like we want to or like we want to. But the fact that we can just do something great, I feel like the world needs. It's so healing when we share those moments. The fact that that can also help a family too is just, it blows my mind. And I guess, Dhani, I wanted to ask you real quick. I know that we're midway our interview, but
I love it how you're flipping it on me. Flip it on me.
Listen, Dhani, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going into this whole hosting thing too. Hey, Mimi, I see you. Well, before I even ask that question, I also wanted to, for the people who are watching now who don't know your story, right? Like, I was looking it up and I was seeing, you asked me about how I chose track and field. And I saw when you were growing up, you did basketball, wrestling, track, and football. Like, what was the deciding factor for you? Like, what made football win for you? And you played in the league for like 11 years, so you made the right choice. But like, I'm curious, like, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah. So my sister just joined, and so she'll laugh as soon as I say this. Really, football became my outlet because I had so much energy, and what I mean by that is that my energy could be either reflected in positive or also negative. And sometimes I got in a lot of trouble, and I didn't want to get in trouble anymore, right? And I needed a way, or I needed a sport, and ultimately I needed a community where they could accept the energy that I had, and I could actually be supported because of it. And so, swimming was one of my first sports. I started when I was 6 years old, competing.
Swimming wasn't on Wikipedia. We got to update that.
It's all right. Maybe someone that's in the room right now will update it. But that was my first sport, and so I even got to compete against Cullen Jones, who I know who was in the Olympics. I beat him in a 25-meter quick little dash.
On FaceTime, I don't know about that.
You know what? You can call him. It's no problem. You can call him. You can find out. He'll tell you all about it. I beat him fair and square. Now, I will tell you, I was swimming on top of the water. He was swimming underneath the water. Now, there's probably an argument between the two. Okay. But swimming was my first sport, and it's always been my love throughout my entire career. Football became an outlet. Football became a community. Football became, not only my teammates, but my support system. And I think that's why it's so important for sports, whether it's a young man or a young woman, and people being able to join in a team sports. Those are the things that really ultimately get you through. And so, being able to play football, that just turned out to be something fun. And, I played on the Giants, so all about that team, and they took really, really great care of me. But in a lot of ways, that's really what built the base that allowed me to transition to a lot of other things and where I am today.
And I'm so curious on how you made your transition, especially to television.
Yeah. So Strahan, Michael, I know you know him. Who doesn't know Michael Strahan, right? Yeah. Michael, he told me the first day I walked into the locker room, he was like, Dhani, and I wish I could just show like a big old gap tooth right here. If I had a gap tooth right now, I'd do it. He said, Dhani, you have to do three things. Well, I think it was like three things. He was like, you say please, you say thank you, and you smile at people while you look them in their eye. You said those three things. And really what he was saying is like, you never know who you're going to meet in a city like New York. You never know who you're going to meet in the world of the NFL. You never know who you're going to meet, let alone walking down the street. And that person could ultimately change the overall direction of your life. That person could all of a sudden step into the driver's seat and you just merely become a passenger. You say, hey, just take me. Right. And they'll show you the way. And so from that day on, I was always in Strahan's ear. And from that day on, he wished he didn't talk to me because I was always bothering him all the time. So, but that's a little bit of my journey. And that's why I love the game of football, but ultimately how I love the notion of sports, because it truly brings so many people together. Is there, you think there was ever a point in your career where you thought that you couldn't do it?
Competing or transition?
Yeah. Was there a point where you kind of, because I think about my career, like I was surrounded from a team perspective, Strahan and so many other people lifted me up. Was there ever a point in your career where, you know, you felt that you were down, that you needed the rest of the community to lift you up?
Oh yeah, 100%. I kind of alluded to it in 2008 when I won the bronze medal instead of the gold medal, which was obviously my goal and what I felt like I was more than capable to do. And it's funny because my community at that point became much larger than just like in 2008. There wasn't like social media. I hate to like. But I got to tell you, I got so many emails from so many people that watched the Olympics that sent me so much love. And they were like, we're so proud of you. Like, you're an Olympic medalist. And they also really supported me because they were proud. They were proud to see an American cross the finish line first, second, or third. It didn't matter to them. And it really did help to put things in perspective for me as kind of what the larger community saw success to be, because obviously my inner circle, like we have one focus, And so, yes, there have been so many times in my career where my community at large, because of their love and support, you can feel it, whether it's through a phone call or an email or, however they show up for you. They were the ones that really helped me because after 2008, Dhani, like people were starting to say, oh, she's not a big race competitor. And it was all of these things that was kind of like becoming like murmurs in my own mind, And so because of the support from the community and my family and everybody else, the very next year I went on to win my first world outdoor title, and it kind of changed everything for me. So yes, there have been times I was like, man, this is too much. But everybody else helped me to remember that I was prepared and equipped to do it.
But it wasn't easy being able to win. Because you also went through a challenging time when things started happening to your body, and you said in the speech, at the time when you needed your body to be at its best, you felt as though it was letting you down. I mean, I remember when my rookie year in New York, I tore my ACL, and I was like, what are you talking about? How does this body become broken?
Yes.
Right. And I imagine, in the same way. It was the team, it was the trainers, it was my family that lifted me up and got me through. My friend Kunta Littlejohn, who got me through. What about you? What happened and how did you get through it?
Yeah, in 2007, I found out I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease. And it's crazy because up until that point, right, like I had never had any kind of illnesses other than like the common cold. And so you feel like your body's betraying you. Like for someone, eats, sleeps, and trains, like, I do really well when it comes to my eating and all those things. It's like, man, like the one thing I needed the most, was starting to fail me. I was having really bad mouth ulcers, severe skin lesions. I was having joint pain, like my knees really badly, and fatigue. And if you know anything about the 400, the last thing you want is extra fatigue, okay?
the last 100, the monkey jumps on your back.
Yes. I was having that kind of feeling in just training, like even doing like light training, And so it was really hard because it's a very rare disease. I didn't know much about it. Like it can get very extreme. People with Behçet's disease lose their eyesight and it can be debilitating. And so, I was very prayerful through it all because obviously, like you say, like track and field was my greatest outlet. Like you know, I would go to the track, Dhani, and I'd walk a lot before I start practice, and I would pray, and I would have all these great ideas. Like I'm most myself, you know, I was most myself on the track. And so the idea of losing that was so scary for me at the time. But, you know, I was grateful that I was able to continue to compete at a high level, even though I had, you know, an autoimmune disease that was like, you know, very unknown and very scary. So it was a trying time, but like you said, family and prayer and friends. Bruce Johnson, Big Bruce 77, who's in this live, still say is, but he was my trainer for my entire career. So from
Big Bruce
in the building, and he can attest to all this. And when we talk about community,
yes.
Bruce Johnson was like my strength coach, my sports psychologist, my water boy, my driver. Like he did whatever it took for me to be great and excel. And, you know, I just can't ever thank him enough. And, you know, for him believing in me the way that he did. And he's a huge part of why I stood on top of the podium. And I just love him. And I was very blessed to have great people in my corner throughout my career.
That's what we say in Stand Together. It's all about the community. There's something I'm just reading it right here. You said that, that you focus your goals by asking yourself, who can I serve or support with my talents and gifts? You know, you talked about Big Bruce, but walk us through what that specifically means to you.
Yeah, you know, for me, sports is amazing. There's so many amazing life lessons, the traveling the world. There's so many really great things. But for me, I always knew that track was just a platform. And I wanted to always be sure that I was using my platform responsibly and doing the best that I could to give back and to inspire. And so I think for me, the greatest realization of what you just said was kind of this full circle moment I had. I guess, oh God, now time flies. I guess, 5, 6, 7 years ago now. But like I said on top of this live, I'm born in Jamaica. And I remember in 2000, about 8 or 9, I was traveling back and forth, and I kept hearing that illiteracy was rising in the country. And mind you, one of the things that I was most proud of when I left Jamaica was the education I received. Like the school I went to was top notch. We actually skipped a grade when we came to the States because we were, you know, our schooling was so good.
Ooh, let me find out.
I was the youngest in the class. So, and so when I heard, I was like, I have to do something. Like I have to do something. And so I started this organization called, with the organization called Fun for Kids. And it was a literacy program in Jamaica. After the first year, Dhani, we were able to get USAID to give us $300,000 to our organization. And the only reason that they do it, the reason they'll give that kind of money is when an American citizen is using their own dollars in a third world country. And I thought, man, like, if I didn't run for Team USA, if I wasn't in the position I was in right now, I wouldn't have helped hundreds. We had 700 kids in our program for about 5 or 6 years, learning to read on their grade level. One of the young men actually got a full scholarship to Alabama and came to the States and writes me all the time. And so for me, it has always been my greatest joy, my greatest pleasure to be able to use my platform, my contacts, my connects, to be able to help other people, especially in situations that's like, I know that they can be great and they just need a little bit of support. You know, that makes me way more proud than standing on the podium.
Whew. That's powerful. Can you tell us some of the stories of some of the young people that you've met along the way, and some of, not only the one person that went to Alabama, but maybe just a couple more people as well? Love those stories.
Yeah, I couldn't even begin, Dhani. We'd be on here all day. But, you know, you think about, you know, people in Jamaica who might have one pair of shoes, you know, that's like the shoes that they wear to do everything, or, you know, don't have huge families, and they don't have a lot of food. And so when we did our program, we made sure of 3 things. One was that they always had fun. Of course, they were learning to read on their grade level, and that they had food. You know, they always had meals there. And I mean, just the smiles on their faces, you know, like it means so much to young people when you just give of your time. Like when I would show up, the kids would sprint, you know, and it just meant the world to me to see how much so little, you know, like being able to provide them with books, or I've always been sponsored by Nike, and they've been a great partner of mine. So every year I would have this program. They would donate tons of sneakers to these kids, and, you know, to see them with their new sneakers, they would look at it like it was gold, you know? And so it just, I mean, for me, the smiles, the hugs, the love, the reports that we were getting that they were improving and starting to read on their grade levels. I mean, it's why you're, you know, the Stand Together and this initiative is so great, because we all love that. We love when we can come together and do something, and when you get that smile, and, you know, all of you guys are all doing such great work. And I know it means so much to you when you can say it's 110,000 families and 120,000, you know, I mean, that number is, it's mind blowing, but it's
going to keep going up and up and up.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody, in a couple of minutes, we're going to be asking, we'll allow you to ask Sanya Richards-Ross some questions. So throw them in the chat. We'll pull them off, and I'll throw it around, and I'll ask Sanya, because I know that there's a lot of people out there waving. They say, "Oh, we love you, Sanya." Thumbs up and high five and prayers and blessings and everything else like that. I can really tell that so many people just love your story. And speaking of stories, and speaking of books and literacy, you know, you wrote a couple books.
Yes.
So, you know, you didn't write one book at one time. You wrote 3 books at one time.
Yeah. So
it's not only that you talk about literacy, you also preach literacy as well through the books and through the stories that you tell.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to just quick shout out to Dr. Kiara and George and Mimi. It's a lot of really cool people in the live. Thank you guys so much for joining. Some of my friends are in here. But yeah, so Dhani, one of my goals after I retire was like, I want to write a book. First of all, it's not retirement. It's called rewirement. You rewired yourself to write. Okay. You took the 400 meter dash, and you rewired. Okay. Yeah. And I know I want you to talk about it in a little bit, those 4 things that you all say, the principles, right? You rewired that into your book. So you didn't retire, you rewired. So talk about those books that you wrote. Yeah, and I love that. I've never heard that before, Dhani, and I'm totally stealing it, because you're right. I mean, you can't retire at 30, right? Like, it's just so much life to live and so many tools that you keep using. So I love that. So when I went into rewirement, I said I wanted to write a book. And, you know, ultimately, I originally wanted to write a book for young girls. I was like, okay, I want to share all of my experiences and inspire young girls to chase their dreams. And I was fortunate to start working with Zondervan, an amazing publishing company. And, you know, as they're talking through different book ideas, it's like, well, what about this one? I'm like, oh, let's do it. You know, and so I put out 3 books at the same time. The adult book is Chasing Grace, and that book is very like raw and authentic and real, and shares many of the highs and lows that I experienced on my journey to standing on top of the podium. And I called the book Chasing Grace because my whole life I felt like I was chasing stuff, chasing medals, chasing records, chasing wins. But I'm most grateful that I ran into God's grace. That's why I named it Chasing Grace. And then I have my teen book and kids book, Run With Me and Right on Track. And the teen book, Right on Track, is really cool because it tells my story in a way that's obviously adapted for teenagers. At the end of each chapter, there's a Sanya Says. And so you get to go through and like really chart like your plans, and like there's a tangible takeaway in every chapter that these young men and women can do that I think is also very important. And then the kids book is really cool because it's very educational. And so we wrote it in a way where kids learn about the Olympics. They learn about Jamaica. They learn about all these things that, you know, they might not otherwise learn about, while also understanding what it takes to be a champion, the hard work, the resiliency, the determination, the perseverance, all those principles are in the book as well. So I wouldn't recommend writing 3 books at one time. Only thing you're doing, but I was really proud of you know, the work that we put out.
So in Chasing Grace, you talk about the highs, but you also talk about those lows. Why is it important? You know, you've said it several times. You know, you talk a lot about your failures.
Yeah.
And you know, I said before, here is the, you know, failure is the bitter ingredient to success.
Yes.
So aside from it being like an amazing bitter ingredient, why do you talk about failure so much, and why do you share so much of that with so many people?
Because I think especially today, it's even more important and more useful, because unfortunately what we see seems like people have this microwavable success, right? It's like it just happens overnight. It's so easy. It's like you do this and it's going to go viral. And it's like all of these things that, you know, it's not the true picture of success. So, you know, I feel that it's really important, especially for young people, to know that the majority 99% of the people who they look up to, who have had success, who have won the Olympics or won the Super Bowl or made it to the NFL or are their favorite actors or politicians or whatever, whoever they look up to, they had very trying and difficult times. They're human, and they've experienced some tough, you know, crossroads in their lives or some really tough challenges that might have knocked them down, you know, had they not been willing to push through that, they may never have stood on top of their own podiums. And so I think even now, more so than even when I wrote it, it's such an important and valuable lesson for young people to know that, man, like, I know what your goal is. I know where you're trying to get, but are you ready for, you know, some of the challenges that you'll be faced with in order to get there?
Mm. I love that. There's on the other side, there's also the excellence and there's the success. There's a quote that you have when you talked about rededicating yourself to your sport. And there's a quote from Aristotle: we are here, we are what we repeatedly do. And you said that excellence is also a habit. So as much as you talk about your failures, you talk about how you recommitted yourself and how you repeatedly, you know, worked on yourself, and in order to create this habit, which created this level of excellence. Yeah. Why is that also important to communicate to people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel that like you said, we are what we repeatedly do. And that's in every way. We are who we repeatedly think we are. So it's so important to have positive mantras that we tell ourselves and to try to always be in a positive mind space or a mind state about what you're doing and who you are. You know, and also too, in a very practical way. I saw this all the time, you know, in practice. You know, we would do the same things every day, right? And Coach Hart would be like, run through the finish line, run through the finish line. And you get a little lazy on doing that. And then, you know, there was a time where I almost broke the record, but I didn't run through the finish line. And it's like, I didn't practice that. And so, you know, people always think that you'll have this perfect moment, but it's not. It's like you have all of these, you know, you're constantly, you know, and I hate to use the word perfect, right? I don't want it to be taken out of context, but giving your best and being excellent over and over and over and over again until it becomes who you are. And it shows up on the track. It shows up on television, you know, so it's really about putting in that work. And I always tell young people, right, like when they ask me questions, I'm like, show up to practice the way you want to show up to the race. Like, don't be in around and like, you know, like you have to be intense. You got to be intentional. You got to be focused. So when you go to the track, it's like who you are. It's not like all of a sudden you're turning on and it feels abnormal to you. And so, yeah, I 100% believe that, you know, you have to be excellent every single day. And I also believe, I don't want to forget to say this too, is that I feel like excellence is not fleeting. So kind of like when you talk about being the rewirement, right? I really believe that when you're able to do something great in one area of your life, it carries over into the next, right? Like that level of commitment and love and passion, everything that you learn from that thing that you've done, you know, it's within you. It's within you. Within you. And so whatever else you do next, you're going to be great at it because, you know, it's just who you are. So thanks for that question, Dhani.
So before we get to the audience questions, I just want to let everybody know, there's obviously at the very beginning, I talked a little bit about the second element to Give Together Now. And that's where people are able to give kindness. And, you know, you can go to the website, and if you have the ability to donate capital, we would appreciate that, you know, and we will pass 100% of that money over to the people financially affected by COVID-19. But there's also ways to give kindness. Remember, you can take a picture, you can take a photograph of, you know, whether it's making a mask for someone, whether it's paying for someone's groceries, or whether it's just waving to someone. Maybe you want to sing karaoke or give a speech to some healthcare or frontline workers. You could do that too. Record it, post it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll find it as long as you hashtag Give Together Now and you tag Stand Together Foundation, and we will pass along $500 on your behalf to someone financially affected due to COVID-19. So there are some questions out there from some people. So you ready for these? Moai Apparel. If a child wants to be like, this is good. Yeah. If a child wants to be like you, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
If a child wants to be like me, the one piece of advice I would give them is that it is never too early to start working hard. And what I mean by that is that when I talk to young people, every time, oh, next year, I'm just a freshman. Next year? Oh, wait, junior year? And it's always like, what about this year? You know? And
what about right now?
What about right now? And so, you know, I tell young people all the time that my senior year in high school, I started doing 1,000 sit-ups every single day. I had 1,000 sit-ups.
What? You do that now too?
No.
1,000?
I used to, yeah, I used to do 1,000.
Like full sit-ups, or are you talking about crunches?
All kinds of different crunches. So like I should say 1,000 core exercises. So lower back, bicycle abs, toe touches, like just the whole full gamut.
You didn't get like a side cramp?
I did. No.
You didn't get like a side cramp? You're like, oh, I'm side. 1,000.
And see, Bruce can attest to it. And I'm gonna tell you something else you're not gonna believe. The 2012, the Olympic, I was doing 2,000 a day. I'm winning this time. Like
2,000? Okay, go ahead.
And so my senior season, I made this commitment to do 1,000 sit-ups or 1,000 core exercises 5 days a week. And the funny thing is, when I look back on it now, I feel like it wasn't so much about the crunches or the sit-ups or what core exercises. It was really that I was going to commit. I was going to give something that was a huge sacrifice and a huge commitment, because outside of course, needing a strong core for the 400, it also made me do everything else right? It's like, if I'm doing 1,000 sit-ups, I'm not about to eat this pizza. Like, I'm not going to do other things that are going to negate this 1,000 sit-ups. And so for me, I feel like if a young person wants to be an Olympic champion or win at the game called life, you got to be willing to commit something. You got to be willing to give it 100%. And then I believe that obviously it doesn't mean you're going to shoot rocket, right up to the top, but it certainly gives you a better chance of achieving your goals.
I think I might start with just 100 sit-ups a day. I don't know if I can get into like 1,000 sit-ups. That's a lot of sit-ups.
A lot.
So, one more question, and then I'm gonna ask you to ask me. Do you have any questions for me? And then I'm gonna ask you one last question.
Okay. No, I mean, I did want to ask you, like, how did you get involved with Stand Together? Like, what, I already know so much about you and your spirit and your heart, but like, how did you find out about this organization? And like, I like, when I was watching everything about it, like, it's only been like, what, 7-8 weeks? And you guys already raised $50+ million. Like, it's incredible. So I want to understand more about the organization and your involvement and like how you got involved.
Yeah. So I, it's funny, when I rewired from the NFL, there was an organization that I got involved with called Summit, and that community brought a lot of people into my life from a lot of varying places. Mm-hmm. It's funny, like just like track, you're isolated on the track with only track athletes or track stars, right? And when you move into the world of football, you're isolated into the world of football. And I wanted to open up my eyes to the rest of the world. And I was able to meet so many amazing people in the Summit community. And through that, I met a gentleman named Brent Beshore. And Brent Beshore introduced me to a guy named Kevin Lavelle. And Kevin Lavelle introduced me to a young lady named Lauren McCann. And Kevin and Lauren were part of the Stand Together community. And, through one community, you find another. Through one tribe, you find another. And as I would encourage you, as you kind of transition through many different areas, Central Avenue, I love your TV show. Hope everybody's going to watch that. Keep a lookout. That's what September that's launching, right?
Last weekend.
So every single show or every single group that you're a part of introduces a different community, and that's how Stand Together became a part of my life. And when they asked me if I wanted to help them raise money and bring people to Stand Together Live, I thought it just like you. As an athlete, it's our responsibility to be able to bring people together. And so I just said, I'm just going to call all my friends, get them together and just say, hey, let's raise awareness. Let's help bring kindness. Let's help everybody give together now. And that's how everything sort of began. And it's been an amazing opportunity just to not only spend time with individuals like yourself, but Andrew Zimmern, Sean Johnson, who I know who's an Olympian as well, and Jimmy Chin, who is a soloist, climber. I mean, there's so many just amazing people with nuggets. One last question. Well, two quick questions, because I know we only have 9 minutes. I need to call Zuckerberg and tell him he needs to extend these conversations, because I love talking to you.
Go ahead. Me too. I got a few things I want to tell Mark too. Okay.
What is there's those principles that you and your track coach or that you were given at the beginning of track. There's several P's.
Yes, yes.
I would love for you to tell everybody about that, and then obviously plug your TV show because I want everybody to see that. But talk about those several words that are important to you that mimic the 400-meter dash.
Yes, yes. Thanks for asking me that. So, and this was the principle of my book that I wrote, Chasing Grace. So my coach had a strategy for the 400 that I have implemented for my life. And it's the 4 Ps that we call push, pace, position, poise. And there's a secret 5th P that's kind of like goes along with all the Ps, and that's pray.
Yeah.
And so, the first P is push. So in the 400, right, you got to get out the blocks like you're running 100. You got to get out as fast. At that point, your body is fresh. There's no lactic acid, nothing. So you get out as hard as you can. You don't even think it's a 400, right? And I parallel that to life, right? Like when you're starting on this new idea or this new thing, my new show, my blog, it's like I'm out the gate. Like I'm like, go, right?
Push!
And push. and then the second part of the 400 is you have to pace. Right? Because you cannot maintain the speed that you're going the first 50 for the entire race. It's the same thing in life. So you start out on this project and you're like, gangbuster, super excited, but then you have to pace yourself because you will burn out, right? You can't do this thing around the clock. And so you have to find a good rhythm that you can settle into that helps you to find, like, okay, if I do this for this many hours, I'm successful. Same thing in the 400. Then the third 100, the 400, which was the most important part of our race. And I also think the most important part of life is positioning. And so at the third 100, you would have to, that's the first time you start to look at where your competition is. Before that, I'm in my own race, like listening to my own body, trying to remember my own patient practice. And then I got to position myself for success. So I got to see where these girls are. Do I need to get in front of a few people? Do I need to, what do I need to do to make sure when I come off this last turn, I'm in front or at least close enough to strike to win? The same thing in life. I think that there's moments in our life where we have to figure out, are we in position to succeed? Am I living in the right city? Am I going to the right school? Am I getting the right information? What am I doing to position myself to have the kind of success I've always dreamt of? And then the final part of the 400 would always laugh and say, pray, right? It's just like, I done gave everything I got at this point. Only God can help me now. But really it was about poise. It's about maintaining your form, keeping your eyes on the finish line and finishing strong. And I parallel that to life about once you positioned yourself and now you're on camera or you're doing the interview, you just got to be poised. You have to remember that you've done all the work and now all you have to do is just show all of those things in the most graceful way that you can. And so, having that poise to finish and staying prayerful were my keys to success on the track. And I'm also implementing those in life right now too.
Woo, I love it. All right. So when is I'll forget about the last question because I think that's so powerful what you just said. When is your show coming out, Central Avenue?
Yes. So please check out my new show. It's going to be on Fox starting in September. It's called Central.
Big Fox?
Yes. Big Fox.
Big Fox.
Everybody Fox. Low channel.
Big Fox.
Big Fox. Will be on Fox. It's an entertainment news magazine show, so certainly going to stretch me in a new way. Of course, we'll cover a little bit of sports because sports is a huge part of pop culture, but, just covering everything pop culture from an urban lens, so I'm super excited about it. I also have a really cool blog platform that I really want to share with your audience too. My platform is called Mommy Nation, MOMMI Nation. I founded it to support African-American moms in every way, and so we write blogs. We share our stories very authentically and in a very real way. We're going to have events in the future, and it's a really dope platform. We have really cool merchandise. And so, those are my 2 big projects that I work on every day tirelessly.
Well, I'm going to go to your website. I'm going to watch for you on Big Fox, Central Avenue. I'm going to go pick up those 3 books.
Yes.
Because I need it. And I'm going to remember the 4 Ps and the 5th, push, pace, position, and poise. And of course, pray. I think that nugget right there in and of itself, I think everybody that's watching right now that's sitting at home can ultimately take that to heart. So Sanya Richards-Ross, thank you so much. I hope everybody's really been inspired today by her story of success and all the things that she's been through in order to keep her on top of the mountain as she stays there. And I hope everybody's had a great time on Stand Together Live, and you're able to go to givetogethernow.org and hashtag givetogethernow. 100% of your contributions will go to families that are in need. Let you know our next episode, Sanya, because I know hopefully you're going to be tuning in. It's going to be Thursday, May 21st, with American Idol legend, Mr. Randy Jackson.
What?
Oh yeah. May 21st at 3 p.m. So hopefully everybody's able to tune in. Sanya Richards-Ross, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you again quite soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for the amazing work that you're doing. And guys, let us give together now. All right. See you soon, Dhani.
All right. See you later.